Hello everybody. I hope that you're all doing really good and you're well. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. I thought that I would do a little bit of a storytelling, soft-spoken type of ASMR video. The subject that it's going to be based on, some people will either love it or some people won't, depending on your beliefs of the afterlife, spirits, ghosts, anything of that nature. However, as I say, it's fine if you don't believe in things like that. All I can say is that this is my true account of what happened to me in the house that I essentially grew up in when I was a very small girl, and not just to me, but it happened to my sister and as well as my mum and dad. So with that being said, I will now settle down and start to tell you my story. So as far back as I can remember, this house, I don't have any happy memories living in the house I'm going to be talking about today. And I'm sure that my sister, if you're watching, Tam, she will obviously back me up on this. Throughout them years, I saw a lot of domestic violence. There was a lot of alcohol issues and very, very unhappy time, family life back then. I remember seeing my mum crying, and I even remember a time where I must have been either in my bed or a crib, but I just remember the vision of my mum leaning over, looking down at me, and she was crying. There's quite a few things I can remember from really young, which is really strange. The house we lived in was just a typical semi-detached house. It was next to these fields, and over these fields is where my dad used to go coal picking, and there was a slurry pit, but all these fields. And it was 3 bedrooms. Okay, as I say, quite a large house, just typical. There's a few things that I remember, and one of them, my mum and my dad got spooked one particular night, because they heard what sounded like somebody coming up the stairs slowly, leaning on the banister, the handrail. My mum said it sounded just like somebody, as if someone was crippled or really leaning on the banister trying to get up the stairs. So much so that they went out onto the landing thinking that somebody had broken in, you know, a robber or something. That's just one of the events. Another time I woke up and I went out into the landing, and my mum always used to see if I wanted to go to the toilet before I went downstairs for my breakfast, and all the plants were in the bath. No water in the bath, just the bathtub. Every single plant from the house was in the bathtub. And I don't remember quite what I said to my mum. And then we went down the stairs, down the landing, down the stairs, and all the pictures in the house were turned on a slant, all in the same direction, all slanted. And I remember at that moment on the stairs, I was feeling a little bit scared, and my mum then, she sort of played it off, laughed, you know, played it down a bit, saying, "Oh, don't worry, it's probably just your dad being silly or stupid, you know." Realising now, she said that because I was only so small. And not only that, all my mum's figurines and ornaments were all in like a circle in the living room, all in this circle. There was also I believe in the spare bedroom, cups were overturned, all upside down on the bed, and drawers had been emptied. Just trying to think now. And I think there was a few other things, I can't bring them to memory, but that alone was so creepy. I used to remember my sister Tammy speaking with my mum saying, I think the house is haunted. And I don't know whether it's because I was there, but my mum would be like, don't be daft, you know, which she would, wouldn't she, Tam? But unbeknown to me, the experience I'm going to tell you about, or what happened to me, stuff had actually happened to my sister Tammy, which I didn't find out till years later. I think it was a couple of years ago, wasn't it, Tam? Anyway, so the night in question, in fact, let me just backtrack. So, anyway, I used to sleep. It's in the back bedroom of this house, because it was big. We had a back bedroom, my mum and dad's room, and a little box room, and I was in the back bedroom. Now, in that back bedroom, it was always freezing, which straight away you think, oh my God, you know, spirit, they come in cold spots. But you could put that down to the sun didn't reach there very good till late afternoon, that type of thing. And thinking back now, I remember when I used to sleep in that room, my bed used to move, and it was almost like, not horrible, not vigorously, but it was almost as if somebody was just tapping the end of the bed. And I remember used to being so petrified that I wouldn't open my eyes. I'm one of them where I freeze. I just freeze, keep my eyes closed, and it'll go away, go away, go away. I don't want to see nothing. I used to tell my mum, and she used to say to me, it was probably just the cat on your bed, which makes sense, I suppose, you know, when they sort of scratch and move around. So, okay. There was also one particular night, and this is the night that I'm going to talk about. Okay, now people will either believe me or they won't. It doesn't matter. I know it happened. I just remember waking up. I don't know what time it was, in the middle of the night. Okay, and just in my dark room. And I remember my bed had been moving at the bottom again. Now, remembering what my mum had said about the cat, I opened my eyes, and as I looked down, there was almost like a black silhouette mass at the bottom, like it was almost like a black shadow, as if it was a shadow. You see a shadow on the wall, just a black shape. Now this was there, but this was at the foot of my bed. And I remember just absolutely freezing with fright, and I just stared. Now my memory goes a little bit choppy throughout bits here. I don't know whether that's to do with how young I was, or it's my brain's way of protecting me. I just remember seeing this black figure at the bottom of the bed. I'm talking black, like a person height. Okay, I didn't see any face, I didn't see any arms, it was just a black mass. Okay. And then the next thing that I remember is my bed started to shake violently. I'm on about, like there was a tornado, wind, storm going on inside my room, and this is how much that I remember the detail of this particular part. I don't know if I was that young, that it's when I first started sleeping in my own bed, because my crib with the railings was next to my bed, I think my mum had still kept it as she was trying me into bed, because I turned around and I held on to them railings with dear life, because everything was shaking, and the railings on this crib was shaking also. My hands were shaking. Everything was shaking. I can't express like an earthquake, and I live in the UK. There's no earthquakes. The next minute, all I feel is something grab my foot, my ankle, okay, and just drag me out of bed onto the floor, okay. And I remember scrambling straight back in, trying to get into the bed to hold on the railings, and again something then grabbed my arm and pulled me out of bed. And then it happened again. I got back in the bed trying to grab on these railings so it couldn't pull me out, and it pulled me out again. And this is the weird thing that I struggle to describe to people, okay. It wasn't like a hand grabbing me. It wasn't like a hand grabbing my wrist. It's the same. If somebody grabbed your wrist and pulled, and you felt that force, it was exactly like that, but more stronger, but without the hand on you. It just had this force around me, whether it was my leg and then my hand, and it just pulled me out of bed. And I swear that on my children's lives, this truly happened. Now, and the next bit's coming up now. Then everything went blank. I don't remember a thing. However, my mum said she heard me screaming for my mum, help me, help me. So she went in my room. She says I wasn't in bed. So she was like, oh my God, has she gone downstairs? She ran downstairs. She could still hear me shouting. She's not there. And then her first thought was then, oh, she ran out in the street, you know, through the front door, shouting my name. She said she was up and down. Nothing. She went back in the house and she could hear me again shouting. So she went back upstairs, because that's where it sounded it was coming from. And it sounded like it was in my room, and she ran in the room and she was shouting me, and I was saying, Mum, Mum, help me. And she said she turned the light on. Next minute, all she saw was my hand and my arm from the back of the wardrobe, saying, Mum, help me. Now this is what freaked my mum out, is this wardrobe that I was behind was a very heavy wooden oak wardrobe, okay, and the back of it sort of went in. So you had the sides there, so sides there, okay, so far out. But at the back of it, it went in a section. So where my hand was coming through, you know, screaming for my mum, the gap was only that big where my hand could fit through, okay. My body fit behind because it went in at the back. Now, there's no way that my mum could get me out of that wardrobe. She had to go get my dad, okay, and they had to lift and move the wardrobe to get me out, okay, because the gap was tiny. I couldn't get my head through, okay. And that, to this day, is what always puzzled my mum, and why she's inclined to believe what I told her, okay, because she could not, she was convinced that there's no way I could have got behind there. You know, I'm not strong. It took her and my dad to actually lift it and move it. And the thing is, I don't remember none of that. And I wonder if it's my brain's way of protecting me, you know, when something that horrific has happened. You block it out. It's very, very weird. And ever since that day, I moved into the box room. It used to be my brother's old room when he used to live there, and everything was fine in the box room. You know, there was still strange things in the house, but nothing happened like it did in that back bedroom. Nothing. And with me being so young, all I could describe it to was my mum and my dad was, the witch blew me out of bed. That's all I could say at that particular age. So my dad being my dad, me being 4 or 5, wherever I was, maybe younger, it was like she was just dreaming. And my mum was more like, I don't know, you know, how did she get behind that wardrobe? I don't sleepwalk, never slept walk. I was getting all freaked out. There was something on the roof. But my mum was like, something weird, Frank. And anyway, so in the box bedroom, everything was fine. My mum actually then spoke to the next door neighbour, which his name was Johnny Hall, I think it was, or Johnny Hall, and he'd lived there years and years and years, way before my mum had moved in. And he said that an old lady had died in that back bedroom. Myself personally, I don't think it was anything to do with the old lady that passed away there. But there's one thing that he did say to my mum. He says in all the years that he's lived there, people coming and going, he says, I can tell you, he says that it's a very unhappy house. And not long after that, we then moved. We moved into a new house in a different area, and there was nothing ever since like that. That house was just dark. There was, I don't know if it was the house, something in the house. Speaking to others years later, every now and then, if someone's interested, I tell them my story. And there's a couple of people, including this man named Tony, who also lived in a house. It wasn't on that street, but it was on the end of the same fields, the big area of where my house was. And he said he had also spoke to others, and it seems like the houses that were on the end next to these fields and the coal mine, the coal and the slurry pit, experienced something. And he told me about his experience, and it was a lot like his bed was shaking. Not as drastic as mine, but he saw things, and it's just really weird. I like say, I don't know if it was the area, the house, or anything, but it was horrible. And then when we moved in our other house, the domestic violence between my mum and dad stopped. It was different. It was just different, you know. And I don't talk about these things often because, you know, it's almost like, I know people, if they haven't seen nothing, they're not going to believe it, are they? And I don't want people to think that I just make up crap, or I'm like, you know, so they're like, oh yeah, whatever. But this is my true story. This is the truth. And my sister, when she also slept in that back bedroom, I'm not sure if it was before or after me, or what, you'll have to comment. Tammy, I can't remember. But she said that there was one of them walk-in closets in there, and she also used to see things. And in there, I don't know, I'd have to get more information from her, but it was just so eerie. But I will never forget that night. That is etched into my memory. The only thing that puzzles me is me having a blank memory after. I don't know what happened when it pulled me out of bed for the final time, put me behind the wardrobe. I just don't know. There was a lot of things as well that things would go with my vision. I'd be in the back bedroom before that night, and I can't quite remember it, you know, precisely because of my age I was and how long ago it's been. I'm in my 40s now, so. But I remember I used to look at the walls and patterns on the walls, and I remember things used to move, which sounds really weird, doesn't it? But it's like the patterns and stuff used to move. I don't know if that was me and my eyes, but I never had that since. But or the walls all used to move. I don't know. It was so strange. I'm thinking, oh my God, was I levitating or something, or was he manipulating the walls? I don't know. Or was it just me with my eyes, it being dark, being a kid? Don't know. But one thing I can tell you is that it was not my eyes. It wasn't just me being a kid when something dragged me out of that bed 3 times. Okay. And for it to still, how can I put it? For it to mark my memory like that, so I'll never forget it. To me, it happened, and that's all I can say, really. Don't know who it was, what it was, but it was not good. It was not good. Not the fact that it was just black. Oh, and I forgot something else. But not the fact that it was black. It was just, what kind of a thing would, however old I was, just drag a little girl out of bed just so violently? It was not good. And then it was like trying to hide me from my mum. I don't know if, yeah, I've had a lot of other experiences, supernatural, but not evil like that. I might make a part 2 and tell you some other supernatural stories or experiences that I've had, which are more pleasant ones. Some freak me out, some are pleasant, but yeah, like I said, I know this video isn't going to be for everybody. Oh, and the last thing I was going to tell you is, when we moved out of that house, what we did an exchange. We had a house exchange, and the family that moved into the horrible house, okay, their son started my school because he was the same age as me and he was in my class. And after the holidays, he'd been in there for about 2 weeks, I think. And I said, you know, as you do as kids, hi Robert, I said, you know, do you like my whole house? And he says to me, he says, ever since being in there, he says, I keep dreaming about black witches. And I was just, because that's how I portrayed it, you know, a witch was blowing me out of bed, because I didn't know how to explain it. Being dragged, there's nothing physical, but you're being dragged, so a witch blew me out of bed. And he says, I keep dreaming about black witches. And you know, you do as kids. I said, yeah, that's what happened to me. And I told him what happened to me. You know, as you are, like at that age, you just knit and natter. And then I found out that he was in the back bedroom, him and his brother in bunk beds. So whatever it was still there. I'm just glad it didn't follow. But thanks for listening. It's been good to share my story, whether people think I'm full of crap or not. But yeah, if you've got any ghost stories, then yeah, tell me below, because I like hearing about people's experiences. I keep an open mind to anything, you know. So yeah, I'm going to make a part 2 now and tell you about my other ones.